Hi, and welcome back to our channel, which, as you know, is called Channeling by Penny and Sarah. And we may have a guest appearance from one of the cats, Felixina. She is just out of view, but we have covered ourselves in catnip in the hope, what one does for art, in the hope that she'll appear. Felixina, come here. Felixina. She's gone. Anyway, today we are bringing you the February 2025 predictions, channeled through Sarah by BM, fondly known as Blue Man, or Blue Man fondly known as BM. And I'm going to bring in a little bit of the astrology that either supports or doesn't support what BM is talking about. But of course, I already know what's been said, and I can say that the astrology supports it. So that's my bit done. So over to you, Sarah. So sorry, I'm Penny Dix. This is Sarah Sand-Smith.
Well, hopefully you've been following us, but if this is your first time meeting us, Penny is an astrologer, I'm a hypnotherapist, and we both channel blue light star beings. And mine is known as Blue Man, or BM is his nickname, and he appears to me and just tells me all sorts of things. Could be about world events, it could be personal matters, all sorts of things. But we decided, after we've had quite good viewing figures for our predictions for 2025, we decided, or rather Blue Man agreed.
Yes, because we did have to ask him.
I did have to ask his permission as to whether he'd be willing to actually break things down and do monthly predictions. So here are his predictions for the month of February. And it's quite interesting. There's a lot of things which, relate to the overview of 2025, which he gave us. But also there's one or two new things as well which have cropped up. And I think this may happen from month to month, that obviously as events unfold, different things will come to light that maybe he didn't mention in the overview. So here we go. So truth is starting to emerge about a number of major world events that have occurred over the last few years, but the revelations are being buried as small news items in mainstream media, in the hope that the majority of people will not notice them or take them seriously. So his recommendation is not to rely on one media outlet for news, but also read very carefully between the lines on what is being conveyed. So there are quite a lot of revelations here from Blue Man. So forgive me, I am reading from an iPad, so
That's
I
fine.
can't
I couldn't
memorise them
remember
all.
all of that. You can't. You're not expected to memorise it.
Okay, great, thank you. Somebody did complain and said, they thought I was looking at my phone during videos. So I can assure you, I'm only looking at an iPad when I need to for notes, because
It's all right, Sarah. We all understand.
Okay, good.
Because I have to use the iPad for my astrology. I couldn't do it without referring to notes. I mean, you have to. So otherwise,
Yeah, I'm not a thespian who can memorise great Shakespearean epics, for example.
And actually, the interesting thing I think about channeling is that if you're a good channeler, you don't really remember what you said, because it's coming from another energy source, another frequency, and you are the conduit. You just write down what comes through from BM.
Yeah.
So actually, of course, it's not your invention. It's not like you're inventing a story, so to speak.
Yeah.
Is that a fair comment?
Yeah, he just tells me stuff, and generally it's about 4 a.m. So this is why I always look so haggard, with broken sleep.
You don't look haggard, honestly.
Oh, thank you.
No.
It makes me feel haggard sometimes. Like last week when we were talking about astral travel and going all over the world. I'm very tired the next day, and I sort of feel, like waking up at 4 and having to scribble down all his news and information can be quite tiring sometimes. But anyway, let's crack on. Certainly a piece of news regarding a major event which affected everyone globally was dismissed as an inconsequential piece of gossip by major news outlets this week, which was rather alarming.
Do you know what that is? Or...
I do, but I probably can't say.
Oh, really?
If
Can you give us a clue? Oh,
Well, it was something that affected everybody
okay.
in one form or another.
Do you mean? Oh,
Don't.
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 Okay.
It's a sensitive subject.
Okay. I didn't actually say anything.
You didn't, I know, but you know, mime can count.
Oh right, interpretive dance.
Well, yes. Yeah. Don't ask BM to start, you know, sort of
Doing interpretive dance.
because I don't think I'd be very good at that.
Anyway, I'm sorry, I interrupted.
Yes,
Carry on.
we're digressing. So we're going to see more of these types of revelations emerging, which will help many people to realise that the media have manipulated them. So BM suggested this in his overall predictions for 2025. So do please have a look at those if you haven't already, and like and share to help us keep building our growing community so we can share, we can elevate each other. More people are beginning to question what they're being told and being shown, and numbers will continue to increase during February as our collective consciousness increases.
So can you just explain that a bit?
Yeah, I mean, basically, people have believed everything the media have told them, and now more people are starting to actually question and say,
Right.
I think we were misled. So the numbers of people are increasing who are reacting in that way. So,
Well, it's one of the things that, and I have to say this, that I've learned through Sarah, is to be more circumspect and actually question things, because I've tended to be a person through my life who has accepted what I've been told on the news. So actually, I'm trying to think of the words that you've used to be more with thinking, critical thinking. That's what I was thinking about. Through Sarah, I'm learning to have much more critical thinking in my general thinking, whether it's to do with one's personal life or one's work, but also with what we are being introduced to and fed through the media. Is that a fair comment?
No, definitely. I think just being more questioning and not taking things at face value.
Looking for the evidence.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. So we're seeing the start of interesting global developments. Recently hostages being released, a ceasefire is a very positive move, and this will hold in February. Hopefully it will continue to hold. But there's, I believe, some interesting energy coming up, which may mean things get a little fractious, potentially. Now, I think a lot of people have been saying that 2025 is going to be one of the most important years for humanity, as higher frequencies are bombarding everyone. And it's up to all of you how you handle your reactions. This is going to continue in February. Now, this is a very interesting prediction from BM, and I'm assuming it relates to dates. Maybe it relates to lottery numbers.
Ooh.
Who knows? But he's saying that the numbers 1, which is today's the 1st, the 10th, the 19th and the 28th are very significant this month. So I'm not sure I understand, but he showed me them several times. So it's clearly quite important. So I think you're going to talk about that.
Yes, I'm going to have a look at that, compare it with the astrology,
Yeah. So this is the year of truth, and more revelations will come out this month. There's the promised release of various classified documents relating to historical world events in the US, but more information on recent events is also going to be trickling out in an effort to create a more enlightened and empowered society. Now, I'm not sure what those are going to be. I mean, I think in the news, the historical world events are quite clear coming from the US. We don't really know what those revelations are going to be, or whether it's going to affect our thinking.
It hasn't actually filtered through yet, has it?
It hasn't. So, but apparently there's going to be revelations coming which relate to more recent events. But it's also a year of decision, where you have key times where you can make a choice to follow forces of control and be acquiescent, or you can begin to elevate to a higher level of frequency. sorry, busy finger. So you can begin to elevate to a higher level of consciousness by questioning and developing.
Very good. Carry on.
Thank you. So everything points to change this year. It's the Chinese New Year of the snake, and that's all about a snake shedding its skin and transforming. So those who can't cope with change are going to start feeling very unsettled this month of February. And we're going to see an increase in anxiety and stress for many. So this is really a heads up from Blue Man to try to anticipate and manage these issues if you can. We're going into the unknown, so we have to be prepared to go with the flow as much as possible and accept that the world around us is changing and changing very, very rapidly. So there's going to be more natural disasters and strange weather patterns. These are going to continue all year, but the planet is actually gearing up to regenerate.
That's an interesting statement. I mean, regenerate. I really do think that our wonderful planet Earth doesn't have a big problem, because I think it goes through these cycles every so many millions and trillions of years, and it'll get rid of the parasite that's on it, which is us.
Yeah, so Blue Man thinks, this is a positive thing that is happening. Obviously not so positive if you are affected directly by them, of course, but it is something it's happening and it is out of our control. There are volatile conditions continuing this year, and he thinks South America may be the next trouble spot. Sadly, we've had 2 fatal air crashes in the last few days, and there's likely to be another transport disaster soon, which can be linked to adverse weather conditions, which kind of links those last 2 predictions together. Now, he's also said something which is quite interesting, and I have my suspicions, but I really don't think I should go down the path of actually making a statement. But he said there are significant steps being taken behind the scenes towards another ceasefire in a troubled part of the world. And of course, there's lots of troubled parts of the world, unfortunately. And he said, whilst it won't be immediate, the crucial negotiations will date back to February. And he's also said there's unrest subtly brewing in some parts of Europe, and there could be events starting to occur leading to increased tension and possible riots. So everything is changing at a speed not seen before, and everyone needs to accept this shift. You're going to find life particularly challenging if you cannot find a way to adapt. Those who remain flexible will find life becoming more fulfilling and exciting. So I think, in conclusion, February seems like quite an important month in a lot of ways. It seems like there's lots of things going on behind the scenes, which we're going to see the results of later in the year.
Yeah.
So we just don't know at the moment specifically what it is. And I'll be honest and say that Blue Man does tell me some things which I don't think I can share, because they are quite specific and a little bit controversial as well. And I think for my own safety, I don't talk about them.
Yes, our safety.
Our safety, yes, and our cat's safety.
The cats.
That we don't actually talk about them. So, it's a very kind of general overview, but I think there's a lot of material there which may actually fit in with the astrological energies and aspects.
Yeah, it does. Do you want me to have a look at those now?
Yes.
Okay.
Please
well,
tell
thank
everyone.
you, Sarah, and thank you to Blue Man, because he's awesome. He's just awesome. And if you heard any background noises, it was the cats, and they are playing up. But never mind, we shall prevail and do this. Get this done. So the things that actually, I'm just going to, the things that resonated with me knowing the astrology for this month, the 1st and the 28th of the month are quite significant days astrologically. Today, of course, is the 1st, and it's Saturday the 1st, and we have an aspect, which is Venus conjunct Venus conjunct Neptune in Pisces. So we've got a lot of this water energy around at the moment, which is making things, and Neptune makes things a bit cloudy. We can't see clearly. But it's almost as if we're not meant to see, that it's all about timing. Does that kind of resonate with what you feel BM would...
Yes, I mean, that fits in with him talking about things going on behind the scenes. So, you know, we're not being allowed to see what is going on. So I think that does fit.
In fact, what I'm actually going to do is look at your notes, because I think it's going to help me make more sense of the astrology. Truth. This is interesting because you start off by talking about truth is going to start to emerge about a number of major world events that have occurred over the last few years. And the planet Jupiter that is in Gemini, Gemini is the planet, the sign of communication and thought and information. Jupiter can be about truth, and it's just about to go direct. So it goes direct in February, which means basically that we are going back over, because when a planet goes retrograde, it goes back over, but this is going forwards, but it will also be going back over some information that perhaps has been kept suppressed, that this time might come out because Jupiter is insisting on truth. Now, you also mentioned about rebellious behaviour potentially in Europe, parts of Europe, which is very interesting because the planet Uranus, which is the planet of rebellion, freedom of speech, waking up, shock, the unexpected, also has just gone direct. So in Taurus, so this means we're going to see shifts and changes, for instance, in the economy and the stock markets. And in fact, last week, I mean, the stock market was incredibly buoyant. In fact, it's been more buoyant than it's been in a long time. And it kind of is a little bit out of kilter with what is happening in, say, UK politics and a lot of the world politics. So there's something that doesn't quite marry up there, as if markets know something that we don't, maybe. So this could be something that, in a sense, BM is referring to with the truth coming out and more revelations. And I think we will see more revelations about big institutions and government buildings, and that the old ways of companies and governments and all these places, agencies being run, is going to be in question. And my sense is that leaders lose their heads. Now, I say this because Uranus is, in its direct motion through Taurus, is coming up to be conjunct a fixed star called Algol. And Algol traditionally is about beheadings, which is pretty grim. However, I think we have to take it in its modern stance, which is that it's actually about people losing their position, leaders falling from power. So I think in February we see the beginnings of these big power battles, power shifts, astrologically. Does that kind of resonate with what was coming through from BM?
I think so, yes. Yes, definitely. So what about the dates?
The dates,
So
okay.
we've talked about the 1st and the 28th.
Okay.
So what about the 10th and the 19th?
Well, the 10th, nothing in major happens astrologically. There's nothing in particular. There's no major aspects. I think the thing to say about February is that we have a lot of the major planets turning direct again, having been in their retrograde phase, And for those of you that don't follow astrology, it doesn't mean they actually go backwards. It means that from our perspective, viewing them from Earth, it looks as if they slow down and go backwards. And it's basically to do with the fact that we're going around the sun more quickly than they are. And we're also spinning around as well. So it's an astronomy thing rather than a psychic phenomena, or it's not something kind of mysterious. It's just that from our position, and it has a symbolic effect. So the fact that we've got these planets going direct means things are going to speed up. Everything is going to speed up. We are going to, I think, BM, and coming back to the dates, the 19th as well, doesn't have, again, any particular aspects. However, I'm thinking about 10 is the number 1. 9 and 1, if you add 19 and 1, it comes to 10. So you're back down to the number 1. So we've actually got 3 numbers there that represent the number 1. Now then, if you look at the 28th, which I'll come to astrologically in a minute, 8, 9, 10. It adds up to 10, therefore it's 1. So all those numbers are 1. Now that is what I think might be significant, the number 1. Is it the number 1 person, leader, country, Hollywood star? Do you see what I mean? There's something, I don't know whether you're able to tune into BM as you sit here at all, and while I just carry on a bit and think about what that might represent, but the number 1 may be what he is trying to get across.
It could be. I mean, obviously it's afternoon, so...
He's not around.
No, he's not around. He's on siesta or long lunch break or whatever. I very rarely get anything from him between about 1 and 5 p.m. So I don't know whether he's visiting other people or he's resting or...
I love it.
I don't know, but
I love it.
It's a very...
interesting window that he's available to you.
He's simply just not around usually during afternoons, unless I'm out somewhere. Sometimes, yes, he does communicate when I'm out somewhere interesting, but otherwise he's really quite silent. So I think he sort of saves himself, sleeps during the afternoon, saves himself for 4 in the morning when I'm asleep.
I think that the number 1 I believe in numerology, and I'm not an expert on numerology, so you can always let me know in the chat if I've got this wrong, but number 1 is about new beginnings. And of course, actually, that is what BM is saying about February. And I would agree with that from the astrology point of view. There is very much a sense of we're on the brink of something. I don't know whether anyone's been feeling this, but it almost feels like the energy feels like something's about to happen, something is coming. And there's something I think about the new beginnings that also are kind of portrayed in the astrology. And the 28th of this month, which of course is the last day of February, is the new moon in Pisces. Now that is also significant. First of all, it's a new moon, which means new beginnings. Secondly, it's the end of Pisces. So it means when the sun and the moon have gone all the way round the Zodiac and come back to Pisces, they've done one complete circuit. So it's actually the astrological new year in March at the spring equinox, which is when it really is the new beginnings and the new energy comes in. So I would suggest that astrologically, the energy of February, from my understanding of it, and I've got a live on YouTube, which if this is up, this video is up before I start it at 6 o'clock tonight, Central European time, you can join me live for that. So it's a live overview of the month of February, looking at the astrology in much more detail, or you can catch it in catch up. And that's on my channel, Astrology by Penny Dix. And so there is very much a sense this month of new beginnings and change. And what I do want to say is that absolutely, I agree with you about, or with BM, that with this energy, because we've got fixed and mutable energy at the moment. Now, fixed means we don't bend. We're rigid in that strong wind, and we will snap. Now, mutable energy, which is Pisces, and we've got a lot of energy today in Pisces, which is mutable and flows and bends and is flexible. There is something that I feel BM is absolutely spot on with, the flexibility that we all need in extra special helpings this month, to really go with the flow and not be, well, we will be surprised, because I think there are going to be events that happen that we just go, you know, whoa, what is going on? Because, and we've had that a little bit since 2019. Mm-hmm. There's been a building kind of growing energy of significant change. In February, it speeds up. When we get to March, it's a game changer. But that's for next month when we do our look at the month of March according to the channelings of BM. Now, I did also just think you might like something very quickly about each individual zodiac sign, and I thought that might be quite nice just to have a little kind of listen. So these are the implications for each zodiac sign. And we start with Aries, and it is, interestingly, embrace new beginnings. And especially in relationships, and express your desires confidently, okay? For Taurus, it's about focusing on introspection and strengthening community ties. Does that apply to me? Because I'm a Taurus, I'm thinking focus on introspection. I'm always introspected, actually. Well, I'm quite often introspected, but Gemini, anticipate professional and personal growth opportunities. So there you are again, Gemini, new beginnings. Cancer, seek emotion, your rising sign. Mm-hmm. Cancer, seek emotional stability and potential career advancement. So you could actually say these are all about change and new beginnings. Leo, prepare for transformative, intimate experiences. How about that then? Virgo, look for opportunities in love and self-improvement. Libra, realign personal and professional relationships. Scorpio, delve into creativity and personal growth. Mm-hmm. How does that feel for you?
Well, I'm doing that.
Yes, actually, I can say you certainly are. Yeah. Sagittarius, balance professional ambitions with personal life. Capricorn, experience emotional growth and redefine partnerships. And then Aquarius, where we have, of course, Pluto and a lot of significant energy. Mercury is here at the moment, the planet of communication. And Aquarius is reassess financial stability and personal values. And Pisces, finally, is embrace renewal and authenticity, focusing on self-expression. So my feeling is that overall, the energies, the astrological energies of February support what BM has said. And it is about embracing change, setting intentions, pursuing personal growth. And, you know, I think the planetary alignments really do support deepening relationships, deepening friendships, and actually finding the people that you're meant to be with and having clearer vision about the fact that there are people around you that perhaps just aren't meant to be going down the same path as you. And sometimes the astrology has to step in to make us or to remind us, to wake us up, to say, this person isn't serving you well. You're not serving each other well. It's time for you to go your separate ways. So I think there could be growing awareness of finding the people that are authentically good for you in your life. Does that kind of make sense for you, Sarah?
Well, I think that, you know, it is a year of change, so clearly people are going to be changing relationships, changing business partnerships, changing their friendships.
I mean, we always do anyway.
I mean, it's natural, it's healthy to do those sort of things, but I think it's going to be accelerated this year, and there's going to be an awful lot of it. So, you know, people are going to be having to accept those changes and go with the flow.
Yeah, because
as BM said, because if they don't, they're going to be very unhappy and they're going to find life incredibly challenging.
Yeah. And I would agree with that very much, just from my sense of what the blue light beings give to me when I'm doing my astrology. And because they tend to channel through me with the astrology, rather than getting direct information the way BM gives it to Sarah. So the BLBs, as I fondly call them. But yes, it's a month of significant change. We have to go with that flow, because as Sarah has said, if we don't, we're just going to get left behind. And, you know, the technological advances that are also going to be happening with Uranus going direct in Taurus are enormous, and we've got to keep up with it, because if not, I mean, I saw that one of the English banks, the UK banks, are closing many of their high street banks again, because people are doing online banking. And I think it's really difficult for the older generations, people of my age and older, because I've made myself learn all these things. I've taught myself. I've just got down and done it. But I know there are people of my age that really struggle with it and can't do it. And so what are the people like that are 10 and 15 years older than me? I mean, how do they cope? So it's a real transitional time that we're going through.
Very definitely.
So what are we going to do next? What's our next video?
Oh, well, we've got several things. We're going to do a couple of excursions on location.
Yes.
We've actually discovered some quite interesting things about our locality that we didn't know about, including one sort of really significant monument, actually, that we have driven past hundreds of times and just didn't know it was there. So again, as we said a few weeks ago, you know, we need to become better acquainted with our immediate surroundings. So and we've discovered a very interesting story that we didn't know about, which we're going to go on location and relate to you. We've got hypnotherapy coming up, haven't we?
We're going to do the hypnotherapy with me, aren't we?
We are. And
some subjects to, you know, I was thinking about isolation.
Yes, isolation was something we thought we'd talk about around Valentine's Day, because I think it's a time of year when people become acutely aware of isolation, and we just want to really make people realise that you aren't ever completely alone. So I think that's a really important time of year, like Christmas and New Year. I think it's an important time of year for some people to realise that.
Yeah.
So those are a few of the things that we've got coming up over the next few weeks. And there will be more as well. We're constantly adding to the list.
Yes. And if there's anything in particular that you think of that you would like us to talk about, let us know in the chat. So for now, I think we've probably conveyed what needs to be conveyed. So we'll wish you well and wish you a really good, positive February. Remember, just stay in the present, go with the flow. And, you know, we all get there, wherever there is, in some way or other. So please remember to like, comment, and subscribe. We really appreciate it. And thank you for all your lovely comments. And we will see you very soon. And now I'm going to try and switch off without wrenching my shoulder out the socket. Right.
Okay.
Bye for
Goodbye,
now.
everyone.